माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना जमुनतीरावनचारी जमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य असूत सदश्री श्री माधभाई चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य असूत सदश्री श्री मा शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudhirayed Nashtaprayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Shrinvata Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidonoti Suritsatam Tadarajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Chetaiterana Vidham Stitam Sattve Prasidati. Hare Krishna, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, the story of King Vena. We're on verse 13, which does not have a purport. So I'll read the Sanskrit and the translation, and then we can chant verse 14 together. Evam adhyavasayenam munayo ghudamanyavaha upavrajya bruvan venam shantvayitva chasamibhi. Translation: the great sages, having thus decided, approached King Vena. Concealing their real anger, they pacified him with real words and then spoke as follows. Sweet words. With sweet words. And spoke as follows. Verse 14. Munaya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhaitad yatte vigyapayama bho ayushri balakirtinam tava tata vivardhanam. Munaya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhaitad yatte vigyapayama bho ayuk sri balakirtinam tava tata vivardhanam. Munaya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhaitad yatte vigyapayama bho ayushri balakirtinam tava tata vivardhanam. Munaya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhaitad yatte vigyapayama bho ayushri balakirtinam tava tata vivardhanam. Munaya uchuhu nripa varya nibodhaitad yatte vigyapayama bho Ayushri balakirtinam tavatata vivardhanam. Munayo uchuhu nripavarya nibodaitad yate vigyapayamabho. Ayushri balakirtinam tavatata vivardhanam. Ladies. Munaya uchuhu Dripavarya nibodaitad Yamavo Ayushri balakirtinam Tavatata vivardhanam. Munaya uchuhu Nripavarya nibodaitad Yate vigyapayamabho. Ayushri balakirtinam Tavatata vivardhanam. Anybody else? Munaya uchuhu. The great sages said, Nripavarya, O best of the kings, Nibhoda, kindly try to understand. Etat, this. Yat, which. Te, to you. Vigyapayama, we shall instruct. Boh, O king. Ayuhu, duration of life. Sri, opulences. Bala, strength. Kirtinam, good reputation. Tava, your. Tata, dear son. Vivardhanam, which will increase. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. The great sages said, Dear King, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulence, strength, and reputation will increase. Please repeat after me. The great sages said, Dear King, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulence, strength, and reputation will increase. Purport. According to Vedic civilization, in a monarchy, the king is advised by saintly persons and sages. By taking their advice, he can become the greatest executive power, and everyone in his kingdom will be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. The great kings were very responsible in taking the instructions given by great saintly personalities. The kings used to accept instructions given by great sages like Parashara, Vyasdev, Narada, Devala, and Asita. In other words, they would first accept the authority of saintly persons and then execute their monarchical power. Unfortunately, in the present age of Kali, the head of government does not follow the instructions given by the saintly persons. Therefore, neither the citizens nor the men of government are very happy. Their duration of life is shortened, and almost everyone is wretched and bereft of bodily strength and spiritual power. If citizens want to be happy and prosperous in this democratic age, they should not elect rascals and fools who have no respect for saintly persons. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vacharam pangum nangayate girim yat kripatamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Adadana strinam danter idam yache puna puna Srimad Rupa padam bhojo dhuli syam janma janmani. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're discussing a very amazing pastime, and we'd like to seek the blessings of all the senior devotees before we start. And please pray that the right words can come in the right time, in the right mood and spirit, following in the mood of our previous acharyas. Hare Krishna. So we're in this pastime of King Vena, and the Brahmanas have figured out that what they did is probably not the best idea, because now they're figuring out that Vena is stopping. Okay, there's some good sides to him, that he's controlling all the rogues and demons, but also now he is stopping the sacrifices of the Brahmanas. And whenever a sacrifice is sacrificed, then nothing good comes from that. So the Brahmanas start speaking to Vena in very sweet words, as what Brahmanas are supposed to do. Srila Prabhupada said, all my disciples should be known as sweet gentlemen. So what this verse is speaking about, one who accepts advice from a sadhu, he will be successful. But those who do not accept advice from the Vaishnavas or Brahmanas, they can be considered unsuccessful. And because why? The sadhus have no other motive. The sadhus' only motive is to discuss the pastimes of Krishna, deliver the message of Krishna, and to share and increase the bliss of Krishna by sharing his message. How do we know who is a sadhu? Actually, if you look at it, the most important, the climax of any book is, you can say in the end, but also very important is the middle. Now, how many verses are in the Bhagavad Gita? 700. Anybody know what is the exact middle of the Bhagavad Gita? The 350th verse. It's amazing, actually, how Krishna even thought about what is the... Almost. Right chapter. I mean, you by logical inference, 9 chapters is a chapter. It is actually Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakritim ashrata bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. This is the qualities of a devotee. Whenever I heard a speaker speak about this, and you can see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the internal reasons for Lord Chaitanya, and there's the external reasons. And you can see, even in these 2 verses, you can see Lord Chaitanya's internal reason and external reason. If you ever hear a lecture by Srila Prabhupada, whenever he's saying that Devi Prakritim Ashrita, taking shelter of the divine energy, Srila Prabhupada in Radhashtami class used to say, this is the mood of, to take shelter of Srimati Radharani. Devi Prakriti, Srila Prabhupada used to say. So what is the internal mood of Lord Chaitanya? Is to get into the mood of Srimati Radharani, to taste Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam, Nomi Krishna Sarupam. But this is the internal. What is the external? There is the next verse. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavita namaschantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. That these Mahatmas to be known as why he's taking shelter of the internal energy of Krishna. He's taken firm shelter of Srimati Radharani. And and how does that look like? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavita namaschantascha mam partha nitya yukta upasate. They take firm vows, dridhavrita, to chant the names of Krishna and to proclaim the glories of Krishna all throughout the 3 worlds. So if you find a devotee like this, a sadhu like this, a Mahatma like this, then take his advice. You should probably take some advice from them. And you can see that a devotee is looking at these, like, every activity that he does or she does is an offering to Krishna. And this is the real, a litmus test of a devotee. It's the litmus test of a devotee on how to do an action is this action an offering that is offerable to Krishna? We're just reading in the Brahmachari class the pastime of the Gundicha Marjan. The Gundicha Marjan, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's purports, there's no purports for many, many verses. Then there's this one purport that Srila Prabhupada just gives a massive purport to. It's a huge purport. And Srila Prabhupada is speaking about how this Gundicha Marjan, of course it is a real pastime, but it is also a metaphor on how to clean the heart as a way to install Krishna into the heart. And we see that in the practical example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Buckets and buckets of water are being used to cleanse the Gundicha temple. So every single thing, and you can see that this is a very nice thing to see how is our actions, how is our heart, how is our mind, body, words, are they a suitable offering for Krishna? Srila Prabhupada says there, Krishna will not come in a dirty heart. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the whole Rath Yatra pastime? He is dragging Krishna in the mood of the gopis to come back to Vrindavan. And so when you imagine we're doing Rath Yatra and we want a respectable guest comes to your house, Mahima, great person, great, you bring someone to your house and there's clothes everywhere, there's dust everywhere, there's a pizza box in the corner, and I went to a house like that once. I went to ISV and this new person and I didn't know anybody, and he hosted me very kindly actually. But in the place that he was staying, in California, especially that area, it's so expensive. So expensive. It's like $4,000, $5,000 rent in Mountain View. and because it's so expensive, there's so many people staying in the apartment. It's like all bachelors, Indian people from India, and they're all working for these big companies. So in the apartment, one bedroom, there were 6 men staying in the apartment, and I was amazed. It was like the room that this devotee, the other people were not devotees, the room that he was staying in was clean, but everything outside, because he is paying the most rent, so he got the room, but everybody else is like in cots outside in the living room, and it was so filthy. Everybody had their cot and they put their stuff inside. It was so filthy, and so much so they didn't even have plates. He was actually a new person, so he made this big thing of lemon rice, and then he's like, I don't have plates, so he just gave me a spoon. He said, eat from the pot. And I was like, what? And then so what I did, I compromised and I took the lid and I ate from that. So Krishna cannot come in a place like that. That's why Sri Vigrahara Dhana Nityanana Sringara Mandira Marjanado Yuktasya Bhaktam Stanyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. The spiritual master is pleased. What is he pleased by? He's pleased by seeing the disciple. We may have this question, we don't have much interaction with our spiritual master. Our spiritual master may have departed. We can see, what is he pleased by? How do I know if he's pleased? You can see he's one of the qualities of the spiritual master. He's pleased when he sees his disciples worshiping the deity very nicely, and also mandira marjanado, cleaning the temple very nicely. And so this is a very good litmus test, is how many of our activities every day are an offering to Krishna. And if you're not offering your activities to Krishna, you're first certainly 100%, without a doubt, offering your activities to Maya. We were discussing, who was giving a class? Somebody was giving a class. And Jai Nitai Prabhu gave this class, and I was just he made a good point, and it made me reflect that every single aspect of Krishna cultivates devotion towards him. So even the external energy, if we're not cultivating a personal relationship with Krishna and cultivating a devotional relationship with Krishna, we're cultivating a devotional relationship with Maya, the external energy. Why? We do Shravanam, Kirtanam, Maya Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam. So many things. You can see how people are worshiping the external energy with all of these things. Shravanam, how are they they're hearing the radio, they're hearing the TV, CNN, breaking news. Kirtanam, when people get together, they're like, oh my gosh, did you hear Trump did this person did that, Mamdani did this. Kirtanam, Smaranam, they're remembering, they're getting anxiety. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Maya, Smaranam, Archanam, they have paraphernalia for worship. Actually, Tvayopa Bhukta Shraganda Vasulankara Charchita Uchishta Bhojina Dasa Stava Maya Jayamehi. That if you take the paraphernalia of Krishna, then actually you Tava Maya Jayamehi, you get to get free from the clutches of Maya, and you can cross over Maya very easily. This is what the Bhagavatam says, 11th canto. But what do? People collect sports memorabilia, just jerseys, shoes, so many of these things. This is like an archan, like this is worship. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Maya Smaranam, Archanam, Pada Sevanam, Vandanam, they sing the glories of the pop songs or artists, Archanam, Pada Sevanam. How do we connect Pada Sevanam? Maybe shoes, that could be Pada Sevanam. Also, I can understand that in Govardhan Parikrama is actually considered Pada Sevanam. People walk to go to the nightclubs, and all the Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, they become servants of the material energy. Sakhyam, they make friends with the material energy. And ultimately, Atma Nivedanam. From the Atma up, Everything is guided in material energy. These are actually amazing devotees. They're amazing devotees. One time outside the Columbus temple, I was looking outside, and this person, it's Columbus, if you've ever been there, it's snow gets a little bit more than this, maybe like a foot more. My parents just sent me a photo, and it's like so much snow, and it's freezing. And so it's a traditional Columbus winter, and it's like freezing, a lot of snow. And you know what I saw at Mangal Arati time? I woke up around 3:30 and I was down by 4. I saw a person on a jog. It's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets to minus 5 Fahrenheit, which is like, I don't know, minus 30 Celsius or something like that. And so I'm like, wow, this person has determination. Like, you can actually see how karmis are working outside. And this is one thing you can actually appreciate about them, that they're working so hard for the material nature, and we're working for Krishna. And why do I not get that rati? Why do I not get that attachment? See, when I was a kid, I had a disciple Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj come to Columbus, and then he's like, "Oh, how are your grades?" And I was like maybe in the 10th grade, 12th, 11th grade, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting like B's, C's, And then he got furious. He said the devotees should get the best grades, and then I said, "Why?" He said, all your classmates are eating meat, drinking, gambling, intoxicating, and they're completely in Maya, and they're still getting better grades than you. And I said, wow, that's a good point. I should really, this is like, if you can't understand mathematics, if you can't understand this, what is my possibility to understand the Bhagavatam, or even which is considered the topmost philosophy? And I made a resolution that day that I'm going to get good grades. And then it gives you more time. It gives you more, being a devotee gives you more time. And so this is the point, is that how many of our activities every day are offerable to Krishna? And how do we know what is offerable to Krishna and what is not offerable to Krishna? We know through Shastra. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyavastito Gyatva Shastra Vidanoktam Karma Kartum Iharshati. This, by following Shastra, then you can actually know the goal. What's the next verse after that? Not Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. The next one, in 16. Gati. It's you won't know the previous one. Yeah, you don't get the goal or the it's Yash Shastram Vidam Utsrijya. One who utsrijyas the Shastra, gives out Shastra, forgets Shastra. Vartate kamakartha nasa siddhim avapnoti na sukham. You don't become happy. Na param gatim. You don't get the ultimate goal. So following Shastra is so important. And who can know Shastra? It is the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas know Shastra. And so that's why we have to take guidance from Shastra. And we go through the devotees. You'll see many, I'm hearing, because we'll discuss a little bit about Sripad Madhvacharya today, because today is Disappearance Day. Actually, every day this week is a festival. I think tomorrow's Sripad Ramanujacharya's, and then we have Bhaimi Ekadasi, Varaha, then Nityananda Tridasi. And it started on Sunday with the main Acharya, Advaita Acharya. So this is very important, to take guidance from the Brahmanas. So, Kalau Shudra Sambhava, who is a Brahmana? Who is, and in Kali Yuga, everybody's Shudra, according to this Vedic aphorism. But where do we find Brahmanas? Where do we find Brahmanas? Every street corner, but we have to find them. In ISKCON, you will find Brahmanas. In ISKCON, he said, why did we start ISKCON? He said, we have to create Brahmanas, the Brahminical society. And we are in ISKCON. We are in an ISKCON temple right now. So what is the duty of every member of ISKCON? To be free, to actually uphold these Brahminical principles in our life. So when people go out there, when we go on Harinam and we go on book distribution and we go out and interact with the public, they're like, whoa, what did you have for breakfast? Not Wheaties. Like, you had prasadam. You had, why are you so like, it's so amazing to be in that energy. And you're just like blown away. So actually every member of ISKCON, we have that duty. My Guru Maharaj said to me once, stay healthy so you can make others healthy. So we have this responsibility. Actually, I was hearing a class in Vrindavan, and Sarvabhauma Prabhu, he's from Pakistan originally, and he was saying that actually to live in Vrindavan or to live in a holy place, even the temple is the holy place, it's a great responsibility. Why? Because when we're sending he said all the preachers of ISKCON are speaking the glories of Vrindavan. And then when people come to ISKCON Vrindavan, they should see pure devotional service. They should see actually the culture of devotion. And he said this is not any joke to live in the temple or to live in an ashram or to live in this. This is very serious business, because people, when we live in a temple, we are representing Krishna. And we're representing Krishna, we have to give an authentic presentation of what Krishna wants from us or how we should act. So this is very important actually you can read Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He wrote a letter to Mathvasis. Letter to Mathvasis. Very important, especially if you put yourself like when I first came to New York, I remember Ramari Prabhu, this boy had jumped the turnstile in the subway, and he gave a very big chastisement. He said, "You're a devotee. People are looking at you." And he says, if devotees are supposed, if you act like a devotee, you dress like a devotee, and you act like a cheater, what will they think? What will people think? So, of course, we can have all the externals, but the internals also are that must be cultivated. So to create brahmanas, we have to be free from lupicity. For brahmanas, better to die than to lie, How much are we lying? Duplicity. We can see how the citizens can be affected by brahmanas. We can see even the glorious life of Maharaj Rantidev. Rantidev was so influenced, I just found this reference, that he made all the citizens follow the principles, the regular principles, even animals. I was hearing a class before this by Bhakti Dheeradamodar Maharaj, and Bhakti Dheeradamodar Maharaj said even the animals had to follow Ekadasi in the rule of Maharaj Rantidev. So we all have to come to the Brahminical platform, and when people come through the streets, when people come to the temple, we have to be cognizant about what people are hearing. Even in sometimes the temple, we get into as Raghunath Das Goswami, he says in his Manasiksha, he says it's so. Does he say mundane talks, or like, what does he compare them to? Was it donkey urine? He says something, it was, I believe, it was prostitute. The prostitute, because it steals away the mind. The prostitute of mundane talks. So when people come to the temple, our duty is to actually make every conversation about Krishna, because that's what they're here for, right? It's to spiritualize every conversation. They may come and speak to us about so many things. Trump, Mamdani, what the Cleveland Browns did, what this guy did, this did. Our duty is to be so absorbed in Krishna, so absorbed in the spiritual energy, that we can connect with them and make them feel so cared for and so safe that we can start instilling to them about how amazing Krishna is, how amazing the spiritual life is. And Prabhupada said this is a science, to do it without annoying them. You have to do it in a very tactful way. That's why in Tuesday program and Sunday program, it should be very tactful about how we present Krishna consciousness. You shouldn't just throw anybody in there. Everybody should get trained. Of course, it's an amazing thing. But how to talk to people, how to make them feel welcome, and I think His Holiness Radha Maharaj said that the mood of every devotee in the temple should be, when a new person walks in, they should see everybody is a dear servant of Radha Govinda. And Radha Govinda, and after Anadi, after unlimited times of floating in this material world, they have come into the temple and they have come here to make their life perfect. And we should take care of them in such a way that they stay a dear friend of Radha Govinda. So this is a nice mood. So I want to pause my Bhagavatam class there before I read a little bit of glorification of Sripad Madhvacharya. Should I do questions before or after? Before you, would you like any questions or comments about what I've said so far? Yeah, that was a good time? Okay. Now, Sripad Madhvacharya. Sripad Madhvacharya he's such an important personality, and I'd recommend anything that I'm saying here, I got from a seminar given by His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu, 3-part seminar on his YouTube channel. It's called the Glories of Madhvacharya, and actually he speaks about how the 9 pillars of Sripad Madhvacharya's philosophy, and how important he was in the whole the gamut of Vaishnavism, of when he came. Because we have to understand that when the Buddhists had become the big philosophy, because Lord Buddha came, and what was happening is that the Brahmanas were using the Vedas for wrong things. And he said, enough with this Vedanta, enough with the Vedas, just Nirvishesh. And so much, all of South India was Buddhist. And who appears after that? Sripad Sankaracharya, a hidden incarnation of Vishnu. And what does he say? It's the philosophy's building. You know, you can't take people's hand and put it in the fire immediately, which we do sometimes, and it works. But Sankaracharya says that very similar to Buddhist philosophy, but have faith in the Vedas. Then it builds. Then Madhvacharya comes. And Madhvacharya comes and says, Dvaita. He says, there's 2. What is the 2? Jiva and Ishvara. There is Dvayam. It is not all one. And there's so much to be said about these nine pillars. And I'd like to just recite a verse from this, actually fast forwarding, to our Gaudiya Acharyas, because we are the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. You may have a question, is that why, if we're the Madhva Sampradaya, why are we not doing exactly like the Madhvas? But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's described, we're a shaka, means a branch of the Madhva Sampradaya, not exactly the same. But all of if you look at Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas, the person he quotes the most is Sripad Madhvacharya. If in terms of philosophical grounding, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took 2 things from Madhvacharya. Mayavad Khandanam, which is smashing the Mayavads, the favorite sports of the Vaishnava, of the Gaudiyas. Smashing Mayavadis, and to understand the deity of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. These 2 things he took from Madhvacharya. And so he came at the time of Sankaracharya. He came after Sankaracharya, and then there was Ramanujacharya. And so then after a few years, now we're getting to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we have a personality called Baldev Vidyabhushan. And Baldev Vidyabhushan was a previous Madhva, and he was initiated, I think, by Radha Raman Das Goswami. And basically, he was a Madhva before, but by coming to Jagannath Puri and having this transformation, he was actually converted to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And he wrote a book called Sri Prameya Ratnavali. And in Prameya Ratnavali, he's trying to bridge this gap. And he writes a very, very beautiful verse, which is the basis of this whole talk by Hari Parshad Prabhu. And he says, and I'll read the Sanskrit. Atha premanyaya udhi sante Sri Madhva Praha Vishnu Paramatmam Akilam Naya Vedyam Cha Vishvam Satyam Bheda Cha Jivam Hari Charana Jushas Tarat Myam Cha Desham Moksham Vishvangri Labham Na Tad Amala Bhajanam Dasya Hetum Pramanam Pratyakshadi Trayam Chetya Upadishati Hari Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. He's saying that the summary of the Vaishnava philosophy of Madhvacharya can be summarized into 9 points. And what are these 9 points? He's saying at the end of the verse, he's saying, these are the same truths that are also taught by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Chandra. So the same thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach, Madhvacharya. This is the opinion of Baldev Vidyabhushan. Now I'll just go through these 9 very quickly. Number 1, Vishnu is the absolute truth. Lord Vishnu is the absolute truth. And from whom there is nothing higher. Number 2, he is known by the study of the Vedas. Study of the Vedas. Number 3, this material world is real. What is the philosophy of the Mayavadis? Brahman Satya, Jagan Mithya. But this material world is real. 4, the jivas, living entities, are different from Lord Vishnu. Number 5, the jivas are by nature servants of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. Number 6, in both the conditioned and liberated states, the jivas are situated in higher and lower statuses. 7, liberation does not mean an impersonal merging, but the attainment of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. 8, pure devotional service grants liberation. And last one, 9, direct perception, logic, and Vedic authority are the 3 sources of actual knowledge. Pratyaksha, Anuman, Shabda. And so what Hari Parshad Prabhu does in this, and I won't do justice to break down any 9 of these, but he does is he breaks down all 9 of these into what is Shankaracharya's arguments and what are Madhvacharya's arguments and against these. And so I just like to narrate now, philosophy aside, we have a beautiful, because there's a beautiful deity, the temple. Has anybody gone to Udupi before? Udupi Kshetra. This is in South India, and this is where Sripad Madhvacharya was, this is where he lived, in Karnataka. And he was born there, and he had many wonderful childhood pastimes. Actually, in Radha Gopinath and Chaupati, they have a nice drama that they've made, and you can go watch it today. It's like 1 hour long. It's very beautiful. And in Udupi, one day, a ship was crossing. And see, this is very similar to Sanatana Goswami's pastime. A ship was passing, and who is Madhvacharya? And the ship was having a lot of trouble in the seas. The winds were. And who is Madhvacharya in the spiritual world? Anybody know? Vayu. Vayu is the god of wind. And so what Madhvacharya just told the wind, stop it. And the wind stopped, and then the ship landed on the sea. And these sailors were so happy, and they wanted to reciprocate with Madhvacharya. And they said, Madhvacharya, please accept anything from our ship as a donation. And he said, okay, the only thing that will be useful to a sannyasi is gopi chandan. And so there's a huge block of gopi chandan. And in the gopi chandan, Madhvacharya instructed his disciples to start carrying it. And when the disciples started carrying it, it broke. And in half was the deity of Udupi Krishna. You still have access to this? Maybe you can pull up a deity of Udupi Krishna, just so everybody's... you can just pull it up on the iPad. Right? Just look up Udupi Krishna on Google. You'll find many pictures of Udupi Krishna. And so Udupi Krishna, the story of Udupi Krishna is very beautiful. And this was told by another devotee. And what is the history of Udupi Krishna? So I'll just read from this. Devaki was very sad. And she was sad, why? Because she was never able to perceive or didn't have access to Lord Krishna's Baal pastimes, Baal Leela. And so what happens is she wants to experience these. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just to give pleasures to his devotee, at once assumed the form of a small child, and he climbed all over Devaki's lap and was very happy. And so Devaki was very similar to the Vrindavan pastimes. He wanted to go churn butter, and so he's very much pleasing Devaki in this sense. So Queen Rukmini is seeing this. This is way past Vrindavan. Rukmini is seeing this in Dwarka, and she's so attracted by this form of Krishna. She requested Krishna to give her a deity so she can always remember this beautiful form of the Lord. So he fulfilled, and Rukmini got this deity. And later after, Arjuna actually hid this deity in a place called Rukmini Van. And from there, it got lost in history. The Chandan got over it. And so actually, Madhvacharya's deity is actually the deity of Rukmini. The deity of Rukmini. So very beautiful. He's holding a herding stick, and he has they dress him so opulently. They worship him with so much devotion in Udupi, actually. So much so, one time I went to the temple in Udupi Krishna, because our family is from that area, and one time we couldn't even see the deity because they had covered him with so many lotus tulsi leaves that he was covering his whole body. And it was like amazing. And they have all these shringars, and there's so much pastimes. Actually, there's a story of Kanakadas. Kanakadas was a reject, a lowborn. And so they had a story in the temple that they're not allowed to be in the temple, like very similar to Jagannath Puri. And so Kanakadas was seeing the deity is looking this way. Kanakadas is standing outside and singing to Krishna about Krishna's pastimes. And what happens to Pujari the next day? Udupi Krishna has turned around. And so Udupi Krishna turned around to see his devotee, not so much the worship. And then, so from even to this day, you can only see Udupi Krishna through the small window. So everybody goes and you see through the small window, and that is called Kanaka Kadi or something like this. That this is where and you can only see Udupi Krishna now from Kanakadas's point of view. So this deity is actually very beautiful. And Sripad Madhvacharya made 8 mathas, 8 temples, and each sannyasi is taking care of each for 2 years. And in Madhvacharya's line, everybody takes sannyas very young. And Madhvacharya, like the youngest sannyasi that I knew, he was actually very close friends with my grandfather. His name was Pejvar Mattiswami, and he took his actually sannyas name was Vishweshwara Tirtha, and he took sannyas at the age of 7. And it's amazing. His danda was only this big because they're asking, why is your danda so small? He said, I was only this small when I got it. He took sannyas at the age of 7 and he maintained that his whole life. And what did he say? And when His Holiness Radhana Maharaj went on yatra to Udupi, and he's speaking, and he's saying, actually, Srila Prabhupada is like Bhagirath. Why is he like Bhagirath? Because without Bhagirath, Ganga would not have come to this world. So he said, without Srila Prabhupada, we would not know what true bhakti is. This is the glorification of Pejawar Madhva Swami for this. So it's very important to understand Madhvacharya's philosophy. If we don't understand the philosophies of different Vaishnavas, we may end up making offenses. And so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, each bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya is like you're in a well and there's 4 ropes. And you just get any rope and you climb out of it. So each Vaishnava Sampradaya has their own Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. So we have to take that into effect as well. We don't have the picture of Udupi Krishna? Not working? TV is having difficulties. Anyway, you can look up the picture of Udupi Krishna. I'll send in the residence chat. Any questions or comments about anything that I've said? Anything that I can clarify? Yes, Tulsi Prabhu. Better be a comment, not a question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I remember when I was there some years ago, and devotees told me that actually Madhvacharya, he got 2 blocks of Gopi Chandan.
Oh, yes.
And from one came
Balaram.
the deity of Krishna, and from one the Balaram. And Balaram stayed there on the beach.
Yeah.
And Krishna went to the city. So some people, they say when he turned because of this
to see Balaram?
sage, because of his devotee, but also because Balaram is in the same direction. So maybe, I guess both.
Yeah.
Both at the same time.
Thank you, Prabhu. The one with the blue background? That's how it looks. All of them are. Yeah, you see? He's holding a herding stick in his hand. Udupi Krishna. It's the deity of Rukmini. Do they allow Western people inside? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, very beautiful deity. No, just Udupi Krishna. He's a kid. He's a baby. He's Gopal, not Govinda yet. Very nice. So beautiful to take darshan of Udupi Krishna. And they have so many festivals that they celebrate, and thousands of tulsi leaves, and the prasadam, and very opulent worship. And yes. Anything else? Yes, Tulsi Prabhu.
Do you have more stories about Madhvacharya?
Madhvacharya, let's see.
Otherwise, I can say one too.
Please share one.
Okay.
I prefer it.
Few interesting stories that I remember, because the place where actually Madhvacharya appeared is very close to Udupi, maybe half an hour or something like that. What was the name? Pajaka Kshetra.
Pajaka Kshetra.
So there are many wonderful, amazing things he was doing when he was a kid. One of them is he really loved to go and take bath in few small lakes around the area. But they were in the jungle, basically. So his mom, one day, she became very worried, and she said, I don't like this, that you go to all these places, there are danger animals around. And he said, okay, then for your pleasure, I will bring all these places here. and he created a kunda in their courtyard. So he was taking bath there, and his mom was also taking bath there. Then there is a famous tamarind tree in the courtyard. His father, he took some loan from some wealthy man, but then he was not able to give back the loan. And this wealthy man came to ask for his money one day. And while the father of Madhvacharya was speaking with this wealthy man, Madhvacharya was waiting for his father to come and take his lunch. So he became a little bit worried, why my father is not coming. So when he understood what's the matter, he took few of those tamarind fruits, seeds, yes, and gave them to the wealthy man and said, just go home. With this I'm paying the debt of my father. He was a little bit like, what do you mean? But anyway, he didn't want to be disrespectful to Brahmana, so he said, okay, this is your desire. So when he went home and he opened them, inside there were some jewels, diamonds. So he really paid. And there is another interesting story. His mom wanted him to protect the milk. Apparently they had animals that were giving milk. I don't know if these were cows or buffaloes, but they had a milk, and they were putting all the milk in a huge, 1 or 2 huge pots. So the mother of Madhvacharya said, you have to stay here and protect the milk, otherwise some animals will come and eat it, drink it. But then he wanted to play. He didn't want to stay there all the time. So he took a stone and put it as a lid. But this stone is huge because it's there, you can see it. And we had one devotee with us who is into engineering and all these things. He looked at this stone, he said, this stone is at least 1 or 2 tons. So Madhvacharya was pretty powerful. And then there is another famous pastime. He killed a demon there. This demon was in the shape of a snake, and he just jumped from the close by hill on the head of this snake demon and just killed him on the spot. And still you can see in the stone there is like a print from the fingers of the feet of Madhvacharya. So many of those pastimes he performed there.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Bhima Hanuman. You see, eat nicely.
Small baby. He was just lying around near the hay, the thing which they feed to the bulls. And he was feeling so hungry that he ate away the complete cart full of hay. And his sister, she was just trying to see where that everything went. And it was like he ate it off. Like he was like that. And there are a lot of beautiful pastimes as Tulsi Prabhu was sharing. One main thing about Madhvacharya was he was very strong as a sannyasi, and he used to defeat everyone, whoever he came across. And the way he leaves the body also is very, very interesting. In the same Udupi temple, there is a small place. Just while doing parikrama, you can see he's speaking on one of the Upanishads. Which Upanishad? He's speaking on one of the Upanishads, and that day he tells about, passing away, and then he just disappears. And his chadar just falls right there, and his body disappears. So in front of all the devotees who are sitting there, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from him, and he disappears from this world like that. So it's a very interesting way, how he disappears from this world. So this is something I remembered about Madhvacharya.
Wow. Thank you very much. Madhvacharya's, we can take advantage today hearing about him and chanting about him. I'm conscious that it's 9:09, so we'll pause here. And Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Jagat Guru Srimad Madhvacharya ki, Gaur Premanande.